Hey guys, Bitter here to tell you about the latest from Balance Breach, Abyzmal, out May 26 on Out of Line Music. This album has 11 tracks, 42 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. They are a Finnish metalcore band. The design of this record is really interesting because it has great qualities to it. Great qualities that I was not necessarily expecting from this band on their sophomore record. The first quality of this album is that it definitely has a sense of beginning, middle, and end. It has clear parameters in terms of where they want the experience to start, how they want you to feel halfway through it, and then how you want to end off the album with and end off that experience for the listener. That is very well defined for this album. Another great characteristic of the design of this record is that not only you're able to appreciate the quality of each individual song, you also appreciate the movement that you get from song to song, creating a roller coaster ride experience because of the way the tracks flow from one into the other and the different experience that you get in that flow from one into the other. When you put all of this together, what you have is an album that is very dynamic, very fluid, very engaging, easy to digest, but also balanced in terms of understanding that every single track, while having uniquenesses to them, they all connect back to the center point and all connect back to the bigger picture that this record is trying to deliver. As far as the sound is concerned, this is definitely a much better record compared to their debut album, and I hate comparing albums, but you see the leaps that it goes from one to the next. I don't think steps forward is enough to describe the differences. It's really a leap. The sound on this album is super crisp, very clean. It's a great sounding record all around. Allows you to feel like there is a wall of sound, not a thick wall of sound, but a very defined wall of sound. A one that has shapes, that has forms, but not driven by one single element. This is not a guitar-centric record. This is not a record that depends on one single element within the sound experience to connect the songs or drive the songs. This is an album that pulls in all the different elements and how they merge with one another. The internal dynamics of each track is what decides on how you move forward within the songs and then obviously from song to song. But just because it doesn't have one driving aspect, it doesn't mean that the individual elements don't have strength. The electronic elements of this record definitely help merge all the other pieces together. They create a blanket, or they become the glue that binds in the guitar sound with the drums and with the bass. They also add a sense of atmosphere to this record. And that's the other element of this album that's really important. They are a metalcore band from Finland, including the darkness or the somber or the melancholy that's so natural to Finnish bands in their sound, and finding room for it in order to work in parallel with the heavier side of the band. It's fundamental for a band like Balance Breach in order to move forward and stand out in a very populated crowd that exists in terms of bands playing, coming out of Finland, or playing even within this genre. I honestly feel like this is an album where they define those parameters better. It's an album that you can see their Finnish side coming through in the more atmospheric sound at times, in the more melancholic side of times, but then you can also see their youth, their aggression, their genre influencing who they are as a band in the heavier, more intense, more aggressive portion of their own soundscape. The way they merge the two is the winning formula on this album. Great production that really allows those two different worlds to work so well with one another and become seamless as you transfer yourself from song to song, or even within songs as the experience changes, as the dynamics move. Now, the guitar sound on this record is really good. I really enjoy the guitars. Once again, not the driving force, but an important element that weaves these two worlds. That world of melancholy, that world of melody, that world of aggression and intensity, more often than not, maybe doesn't get pushed from one to the next by the guitar sound, but the guitar sound definitely leads the way and creates the roadmap for both of them to coexist with one another within songs and from track to track. I honestly really like the soundscape. I really like the sound quality, the crisp, the clean, the direct, the soulful, even a little bit emotional presence that the guitars offer on this record, because this to me felt like a very emotional album, not just from a lyrical point of view or from a vocal delivery point of view, but even from a soundscape perspective. And a lot of that emotional drive really came from the guitars. It felt like the guitars were telling a story all on their own. Now the drums have a little bit more of a warm experience, definitely have depth, and definitely have substance. They're not super heavy, they're not super powerful, but they just have enough oomph to fill in the blanks and to allow the album to not be super narrow in its sound. It's also not super wide, but it has a nice shape, it has nice borders that allows the songs to have energy and movement within those borders, and more often than not, the bass and drums are the ones creating those shapes, are the ones creating those borders. Now, once it comes into the vocals, I feel like this has been, at least to me, one of the elements that I've always connected with the band. Balance Breach, as far as vocal performance is concerned, has always been very consistent. I've always enjoyed the vocal delivery. This record is no different. I felt it's maybe the element that changed the least or evolved the least in terms of delivery, not necessarily in terms of what it gets to you. And what I mean by that is, once again, that emotional presence that exists in this record, in the sound and in the lyrical content. You can only feel it from the lyrics if the vocals have the right way of bringing it forward. And I felt on this album had to dig a little bit deeper in order to connect more emotionally with the tracks, more emotionally with the lyrics, and definitely that happened throughout the entire record from start to end. But as far as what you get, as far as the energy between cleans and harsh vocals, that has always been there. There's always been their bread and butter, and this album stays very consistent with what I was expecting from them from that specific point of view. All around, a sophomore record that shows incredible growth musically, in terms of that emotional connection, and then obviously lyrically. Super well executed with outstanding production. You have all of the right pieces in the right place in order to make a record stand out in the crowd, and in order to make this album perhaps the album that's going to set the tone for what this band is going to be in the future. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Heart Like Siberia. This is the opening track, and I feel like this is the perfect intro to the album. It has a blend of heaviness, atmosphere, melancholic, both musically and vocally. A super driven track with some pockets of melancholy and some pockets of atmospheric elements that create melancholy within themselves. That allows you to feel that the heavier side of the track is even heavier. It also allows the experience to be more engaging, more dynamic, not allowing the track to be super linear from beginning to end. The chorus has this bright light to it. The cleaner side of the song coming through in that chorus really helps set that apart and also create those important pockets that change the dynamic, that change the movement. It's also a super hooky chorus, so you can never go wrong with that, and you can never go wrong with a song that has these characteristics right at the start, right at the opening, because it's going to get hooked. You're going to get hooked with the experience of the track, and therefore hooked with the experience of listening to the album. Next we have Untouchable, a melodic yet very intense and aggressive song. The verses, you see the movement of the song, you also see it in the chorus. The chorus feels heavier musically and vocally. It's a song that is always heavy, never really changes that much, but it becomes heavier as you transition into the chorus, almost allowing the chorus to be the climax of an already aggressive and intensive song all around. Not by much, but by enough that helps set those two elements apart within the song construction, but it also allows you to see the movement upwards as you go from one to the other, becoming a banger of a track right from the start all the way to the end. Like I said, no pockets, no pauses, no breaks, just a lot of intensity, a lot of aggression, with these bursts of energy coming right in the chorus. Last but not least, the spark. The cleaning vocals on this track are outstanding. Definitely the thing that I connected with the most in the song. And I connected with the most because it has that emotion and is able to transmit the emotion that you have in the lyrics through the vocal performance. And then obviously the guitar sound is phenomenal. It offers a lot of different perspectives, and once again you're able to take from that guitar sound also a lot of emotional baggage. So it's a song that all around becomes very emotionally driven by the way the vocals come across, by the lyrical content, and by how the guitars sound and the roller coaster ride that those guitars create from start to end, and all the ebbs and flows that comes with it. Vocally, it has a great experience. Sound-wise, it has a great experience. It's a great song because it has all the right elements, and once again, for me, someone that connects with music more on an emotional level, this track really checks all the boxes. This is it, Balance Breach, Abyzmal, out May 26 on Out of Line Music. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the record, on the singles. Hit me in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video.